Hey all, here OS Reviews. In this video, we're taking a quick look at the Allway Aqua10. This is kind of an interesting two-in-one product of a Bluetooth speaker plus a flame humidifier. So we have seen other flame humidifiers in the past. They look pretty cool, creates this optical illusion using LED lights, and as the mist is coming up, it almost looks like a flame, but if you're touching it, it's completely safe. It's just water. Also, if your room is really dry, it's going to make it a little easier to breathe, cooling you down a little bit as well during the summertime. So this has that similar effect, but just presented a little bit better in this kind of retro, almost TV style. It's also branded as an Aromatherapy essential oil diffuser, so you can mix in a couple of drops of essential oil into the water container and also add some scent into the air. Yet another interesting aspect of this model is it looks like the LED lights underneath have different colors. It's RGB as opposed to being only orange or flame colored, so you can have a couple more effects to play around with. And it even has an optional companion app, very interestingly, that comes with sleep sounds and white noise sounds, again showing a little bit more attention to detail, and it claims to run around 9 hours continuously for the water tank before it runs dry, and you can just fill it in with more water. That being said, you are paying a little bit more of a premium for all the extra little details that they've built in here. For example, this model actually sells a little north of $100, so definitely not cheap, but again, you do have more of a cohesive, well-presented experience versus some of the generic flame humidifiers that are maybe only $20, lacking some of those controls, and the fit and finish might be lower as well, but this is certainly more on the premium side. Alright, so it comes in a pretty large box that just says Aqua10 inside. We have the speaker slash humidifier in addition to the AC adapter, in addition to a quick start guide and another little sticker here for the Aqua10. One thing I will say though is it does not come with a built-in battery, so it has to be plugged into power at all times for it to run, similar to other flame effect humidifiers. But it is what it is. A closer look at the Aqua10, we do have a fabric texture on the front here, covering up the speaker, logo here made out of metal, and the knobs here, which are also rotatable for controlling volume, can also be pressed on to play and pause your audio. Although the frame of the speaker humidifier is made out of plastic, the feet section here has a wood-like texture, but it is actually made out of rubber, but it's soft touch, making it a little easier to grip when you're setting it onto a table and having a more organic look. There's also the AC adapter, and that is pretty much it. The very top here of the TV, quote unquote, can be lifted up, and that is where the water tank resides. So if we look a little bit more closely, this is technically the LED light strip. It's protected by plastic, so water can't really damage it, but it will shine through, and then when the mist juts out from the top slot, it illuminates it, creating that flame effect. What I will say though is there's also a hole here that's kind of where the fan will spin, and using the fan it will make the mist move upwards. But also make sure that when you're pouring in water, do not pour it into this slot, because that might damage the fan and electronics inside. You have to just kind of pour it in this particular section, filling it up until the line over here, and you should then be all set and ready to go. Alright, so here's what the flame effect is like when we turn it on. It definitely looks a lot better under a darker background, however, so if there is kind of a white wall, you can see how the effect is not going to be as strong as if you have a darker background color to make that flame effect really pop. But otherwise, it does look quite convincing, and again, just created using water, evaporated into mist. So just a very gentle hum or white noise there in the background because of that fan. What I will say though is, again, because it is using LEDs, yes, you can still make out a bit of a mist, but again, the effect is definitely not as dramatic as if you were in a darkened space. So for the best effect, definitely dim the lights, and then it kind of comes to life. And then operating the flame humidifier is quite easy. We can just tap on the dial here on the left once to basically turn it on or off. There's also a simple white LED there to act as a power indication. Otherwise, we can rotate this dial to go into the other color combinations. Here's one that's a little bit more bluish in terms of the color, and then once more into also a greenish color as well, also kind of reminding me of kind of a ghost fire, and then once more into a total green mist, also looking kind of mysterious, almost like a Aurora green, once more into a red, orange, yellow, so this one will be going through all the colors of the rainbow. By the way, this is what the effect is like in complete darkness, definitely the most visible, and again, quite beautiful looking in this gradient RGB effect that is going on, and very gentle strobes. We can twist on it once more to go into a kind of Aurora multicolored mode, with the LED light strip underneath. So the flames will also be kind of multicolored, which is also quite pretty looking. Although I will say that the flames seem to come out a little bit more strongly on the left corner, so that the yellow flames here on the right are sometimes not quite as visible, but still a neat effect nonetheless. And again, in complete darkness, the tails of the flame also seem to go up a little bit higher as well before it kind of dissipates into the air. Otherwise, the final knob will allow us to just turn the lights completely off, but the humidifier is still technically on and running if you want no lights in the background. So those are all the different RGB effects, either that rainbow pattern or going into specific colors, either green, bluish, or kind of the orange flame effect that we saw there in the beginning. And now moving into the Bluetooth speaker aspect and connecting with a companion app, let's tap on the button over here for a couple of seconds until the light here blinks. And now jumping into the Allway app, we're able to add a device. So we're going to tap on speaker and the Aqua10. We'll be able to pair in just a split second. And from here, we're able to check and see if the humidifier is running or not, as well as set a timer so that the humidifier will turn off after X hours. Up to 6 are available here on the app. And there is also a safety sensor that can detect if there's no more water remaining in the tank, the humidifier will automatically turn off to preserve on power. So that's another little protocol that is missing on some of the more inexpensive generic models on the market. So we can also go into the lighting modes using the companion app here if you prefer, controlling it from afar. So for example, now we can go into the blue mist, which is called ocean mode. Poetry mode is that kind of turquoise color that we saw there. Forest mode is all green. Breathing mode is the rainbow. Aurora is kind of the continuous strip of blues and yellows, and then also a sleep mode, which is completely off. Plus a custom mode here allows you to even change the RGB colors yourself. So this is a white color, which is also quite unique. I haven't really seen that before on past models. I can also choose a specific shade that I am interested in using the controller here at the bottom. Not bad as far as the options there are concerned. I'll also mention that the humidifier can be turned on and off from the app here as well if I tap on this key, and also check and see if there's any firmware updates available. As far as music playback is concerned, again, it is just treated as a normal speaker, so there's no other kind of EQ properties it looks like in the Allway app that you're able to change at the moment. However, if you return to the home screen, you can find a sleep tab, and from here access the aforementioned white noise sounds for relaxation as well as falling asleep. So there are soundscapes here like breathing planet, small forest, a sea, as well as ocean, so on and so forth, bonfire, that will just, again, act as a gentle noise there in the background. Even electric fan, as well as keyboard typing, ASMR effects can also be found, and you can download these tracks. There's also the duration that is shown there for kind of how long before that track will stop. So if we play this back, and also crank up the volume over here, it actually is pretty convincing. So the sound effects I think are done quite well, and the app here also allows you to change the duration of playback. For example, stop it after 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 120, so on and so forth. So if you choose a longer duration, it will just loop over the track. That being said, the humidifier almost acts as a natural white noise machine because of that literal fan inside. But you do have this option if desired, if you want to crank the volume higher, for example, using the actual speaker. Here's a couple of other examples. We can tap on keyboard typing, ASMR effects, a mechanical keyboard there. Here's a few other soundtracks, including wind noise, or rather snow that's falling onto an umbrella in wintertime, and also some more musically inclined tracks as well on the top, including Dusk, the Sea of Memory. These actually have some music that will play back to kind of get you to relax. Also in the app, if we tap on playback controls, we are able to play pause as well as change the volume using the remote here as well from afar, and also skip tracks. So pretty easy to use. Let's also move into a quick demo of a music playback. Alright, so turning things down, some takeaways would be that the speaker quality is not bad. It certainly is louder compared to any phone, tablet, or laptop speaker with a larger driver inside at the end of the day. However, also keep in mind that the size is technically half occupied by the water reservoir tank. So the actual speaker, again, although larger than a phone, still isn't going to be as big as maybe this mesh makes it look like. I think it's around 3 watts in fact. And in terms of bass response, definitely not the most impactful in the world. In fact, if you are really a bass head, this is probably not going to be the unit for you. However, there is a little bit of a kick if you're listening to a drum beat or EDM music, and more importantly, the mids and trebles do sound pretty clean and clear, doesn't sound too thin, even at higher volume levels. And the knob here, again, does work quite well when it comes to adjusting the properties. So the takeaway would be it has good sound quality, maybe not the best I've ever experienced out of a Bluetooth speaker, but adequate when it comes to just listening to some podcast, some music to relax to, fall asleep, just for those casual purposes, as long as you don't expect something audiophile grade. So that is more or less it as far as our quick hands-on review of the Allway Aqua10, this 2-in-1 flame effect humidifier slash Bluetooth speaker. And I would say the best thing about this would be kind of that retro inspired design and some of the more subtle details, as well as the fact that you're able to change the lighting effects using the rotary dial here are nice touches. Whether it's worth the added price though compared to a more generic model does depend on how much you value, again, its aesthetic as a decor item on a desk, and if you need the app control capability of some of the timer modes, which are missing on the more generic models that we have seen in the past. Definitely the most feature rich, but again, this particular model just sells at a bit of a premium because of that. So not bad as far as a novelty item is concerned. You can learn more details if interested in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Allway Aqua 10.